What's up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Campus Cuts. Happy New Year and welcome to the show. Campus Cuts is an intergenerational, multicultural show that brings people from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, politicians, athletes, students, and multiple people to chop it up in the virtual barbershop. I am your host, Tanaka, Tava, and today I have a special guest, the first guest of the new year of 2022. He is an artist, he's a creative director, he is a servant, he is somebody that is using his platform, his way to change the world, change people's hearts and minds. And he has a gift of creativity and speaking into life, into people. And I'm super honored to be able to share this space with my brother, Ryan the Son, aka formerly known as Ryan Thomas. Welcome to the show. Yes,
What's
sir.
up? What is up? I'm glad to be here. It's cool. I haven't been on one of these yet. It's only been 5 days, but of the new year, but I'm glad to be on one already.
Yeah, man. We're starting the year off strong and right, man. I'm so grateful that you welcome to the show, man. This has been a long time coming. And a very long time coming, but I'm super happy that we are making it time now to do it today. So thank you, bro. Thank you.
For sure.
Yes, sir. So of course I gave my introduction, but how I usually start off the show is just get the guest to introduce themselves. So what is your name, your current occupation, your hometown, and then after that we'll dive deeper. Give a little synopsis of who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Ryan Thomas. My legal name is Ryan Thomas. My recording artist name is Ryan the Son. And a lot of whenever I do business collabs or whatever, I go by Ryan the Son. My trade is really, I'm a writer, I'm an author. I tell story by way of sound and novels coming up soon, but that's a shameless plug. But yeah, I'm a writer, I'm a songwriter. I love seeing things come to life that people have ideas for. And so that's where the creative director comes in and the songwriting comes in. If it's for music, somebody has an idea, I love to collaborate with them to figure it out and create it and put it out for people to hear. If it's something like clothing or a business idea or a video or whatever, that's where the creative director side kind of comes in for me. So yeah, that's who I am, what I do. You can check my music in life out on ryanthesun.com or Instagram at ryanthesun. And my occupation, my day job, which I was hesitant about saying this, but I feel like I need to break the myth of, being just a starving artist. My day job is I am what they call a traffic specialist. So what I do for creative traffic specialist. So basically it's a project manager for marketing assets within the creative team. And so basically what I do is, creative direction and project management where they cross, that's kind of where I live. And so a lot of, being attentive to brand and voice and capacity of workers and timelines, throwing it all together to produce something out for people. That's what I do, like as an occupation, and all the other stuff that I told you before that is what I do outside of that. So yeah.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Well, one, also, that's really, really dope. And thank you for your transparency, honesty, because of course, this day and age, right, there's a lot of people who want to be more creative and entrepreneurial, and they're not really quite sure, and they should like, oh, should I leave my day job or whatever? And so that's really cool that you're breaking that mold and how you have successfully have been both in the corporate and as well as your entrepreneurial and individual endeavors as well, and being able to balance that too. When I'm going to go dive deeper more into that. But my first question for you, bro, is who is Ryan? Like besides that stuff, besides all your accomplishments and whatever, who is Ryan? Who is Ryan at the core?
Man, at the core,
Yeah.
Ryan is a big kid. I am just like, I've never really, apart from the maturity of becoming a man and the basic things that, responsibilities of life, the way I view the world and believe in people is through the lens of just like if these glasses could just say big kid on them, that would be who Ryan is. Like I love play, and I believe in the power of play. I love imagination, believe in the power of imagination. And that's really, if I could really put a brand on, I guess it's weird, a brand on the not branded version of me would be I'm just a big kid that really does believe that God's not boring. Life doesn't have to be boring. And when it is, it's usually for the purpose of fun that's pending. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
that's who Ryan is. I love basketball. I love Marvel comics, fiction books. I love brilliant cinematic production. I love hanging out with my wife and my family and friends. Like I love deep conversations, like nebulous conversations, and I love people. That's Ryan. And I do that
Yeah,
all like a big kid. Sometimes it
yeah.
gets me in trouble though, but you know.
Yeah. No, okay, okay. So how were you able to cultivate that, especially, as, growing up, man? Like how have you been able to navigate keeping that, that big kid alive as, people have been trying to tell you, oh, you need to grow up or
Yeah, yeah. I think I think really just vigorously asking why. Almost,
Mm,
how when your mom and dad sometimes, or parents, they say, my mom will say something like, "Yo, go Ryan, go clean up your room right now." And I naturally would be like, "Why right now? I have all these things on. Do I have to do it right now? Why?" And my mom would get mad at me, and it would feel like, you shouldn't ask the question why. You just do it because someone said to do it. But I think I just, thankfully, I've always, that never really became the way I lived life. I grew out of the conditioned mindset of like, because someone said you should do it, you should do it. I have always been unconventional in the sense that I just have to know why. Why do we go to school? Why do I want to play basketball? Or why should I play baseball if I want to play basketball? Why
mm,
can't I be a basketball jock and write songs? You know what I mean? Why can't, if you want to get real, why can't I be a black man and write sensitive songs that sound singer songwriter? Why do I have to be a rapper for it to be normal
mm,
to people? And so
mm,
I think that kind of that unconventional perspective of like it's okay, and actually it allows me to take some kind of reins and power to not in like a gluttonous way, but just in like a self-control kind of way, to wonder why and ask why and seek out your reasoning behind doing things, and even understand others' reasonings behind why they think what they think. And I think that's always kept me childlike, because I always figured out why before I just did stuff mundanely. And I think the mundanely doing things that are mundane for no reason, I think that's what slowly erodes people's inner child away. And for me,
mm.
I just always have to know. And no, I was always that annoying kid that's like, why? you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's so true. And so, like, was it somebody that always like was it somebody in your life that always like pushed you to ask why, or was that something that was always innate and that you just kind of just did anyway?
Yeah, I think it was a kind of a both end. Like it's always been definitely an innate thing. I also watched people. I'm a people watcher, and when I was a kid, I watched my dad, my uncles, my brother, and these people in my life. They were all movers and shakers, and some of them were not though. And so I got to see the difference between when you think like these guys, what kind of how bored they are. Like if you think of it in like a kid lens, like when you think just like this, you're bored. But when you think like dad, somehow he always makes fun out of something that's not supposed
Mm,
to be fun or is supposed to be fun. He makes sure he does grasp the fun out of it. And he has all these responsibilities, takes care of me and puts food on my plate and wakes up at like the butt crack of dawn, but he's not bored, you know? And so watching people like that, and also having the innate curiosity and wonder, um, to figure out why my dad thinks like that or why my coach thought, actually, none of my coaches really, yeah, RIP that reputation. Um, but like, why my teachers, I had a lot of great teachers, a lot of not great teachers, but I was blessed with some connections with teachers growing up
yeah,
that were that were catalytic to me always finding the answers to my why and being one of those people who pushes the boundary of what norms are placed on you.
yeah,
I was specifically, a story that I can remember is, I was a top 20 basketball player, ranked basketball player in my high school. Um, but at the same time, it was ingrained in me to have good grades and also have a social life. I like really wanted to have a social life. And so one of the ways I can make sure I do that is be on student council. And one year, I literally for the first little while, I did it just to have a social life and to like interact with people and be funny on, lead people and stuff. And then my teacher was like, Ryan, like, I know this is fun for you, but there's some opportunities here. You should go to this camp. And it's like a leadership workshop. And I freaked out. I was like, yo, like, I actually just like having fun and not being responsible for a bunch of people.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, let me be
yeah,
entertaining.
yeah.
But she pushed the boundaries of like, hey, what if your personality had some purpose to it? And so I
Mm,
went to this camp, and the first time I ever like spoke publicly, like had to deliver a message with like props and stuff. They was at this camp, and the lady gave me a jar of Legos and a topic, and somehow I had to take this huge jar of Legos and use it as my illustration for this topic. And and it wasn't like, it wasn't one of those like showcases where you expect some people to not really nail it if you're in the crowd. But it's like no one knew that she gave me this challenge of like, here's a jar of Legos, here's a topic, figure it out.
go.
They
Yeah,
all they know is this guy's about to throw it down like every high school leader does at this thing. And
yeah.
I'm like not that old, and so that having that was like pivotal catalytic moment looking back in my life. I've never shared that publicly, but
Wow.
um that was when I knew, like, oh man, if for every ounce of fear I have in my body, I think I have about 16 ounces of courage. And so I'm gonna
Mm.
always tap into that. And whatever happens. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, bro, that's a really, really dope. And I want also, this is why I love this podcast, man. Oh, I love doing this because, like, again, you got like, I love the way to be able to hopefully cultivate people to talk about experiences and stories and perspectives and things that happen to their life that they didn't even realize, or like I haven't had the chance to share it publicly, but see how that continues to have that influence. Because I know a lot of my audience, so not my audience, a lot of the audience that I've been very grateful and blessed to be able to steward is people trying to figure it out. People who know that there's something unique and special about them and are always willing to, who want to take the next step. And it's just like, man, like each and every person that has been on here, no matter their background, has always had that sort of like origin or coming of age story of like, man, like it was through this experience that helped me become a better leader, or this and that. And for me, like, one of the reasons why I love doing this, and what I feel like the purpose and calling that it has to, is just like, yo, closing that loop of, yes, listening to somebody, who does some dope and amazing stuff, be inspired, but then close the loop for them to take some action as well in their step in their life as well. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
like, that was so dope to be able to see, just talk about that experience of you, like, you over here, like, oh man, I'm just doing this for fun, like, I'm whatever. And then it's like, nah, but that cultivated that leader in you, and now that's led you down this path that you where you are today. So that is
Mhm.
so dope. So thank you for sharing that, bro. Like,
Yeah,
wow,
man.
I never knew that, and I'm like, that's like, who would have thought? Who would have thought? And so, like,
Yeah.
for you, when it comes to finding that, man, um, what would you feel like? What would you say is one of your drivers for you as an individual? Like, what drives you in life, and why?
I think, it's funny. Somebody just asked me this recently. Um, I think it's weird. I think I like forgot until he asked me. And recently, I think I've discovered it. It has My reason has been similar but matured over time. And I think what the core of my reasoning has always been is I think I just really do care about people, and
Mm,
I've seen the correlation between um, you know me doing what I being who I am, and that flowing into what I do, and how the positive expression of that can impact people and impact the way they live, what they decide, in a way that leads to life and not death. And I've had some situations when I was a kid in fifth grade. I was suicidal. I almost drove a knife through my chest because I felt like I was, disapproved of or not enough. And so I know firsthand that there are kids out there that if someone doesn't show them or say that you're enough and you're capable somehow, whether it's through a comic book or a music video, or just you speaking to them in the back in the hallway in school or whatever, you know that it's real out here. Life and death are in a tug of war for everyone's life and soul, like. And so I think that's what drives me, is knowing that everything that I put out is an opportunity for another Ryan to be saved from what not feeling like enough will lead to. And so um you know yeah, that's it. That would be my driver, is just people. It's we're on this earth once, regardless of what, any in regard of all religions or thoughts and beliefs about life, you can't take away the fact that we die. Like, one day we die. And whether you believe in reincarnation or whatever, all that stuff, regardless, this life you have, you die. and
mm-hmm,
and how you live before you die, whether we like it or not, is heavily influenced by the people around you, the things you consume, and the things that happen to you, and the way you respond to them. And so, knowing that, that's what drives me to be one of to be present the option of the positive, the good, the life, the I am capable, the presentation of value. That's what drives me to do what I do. It's Yeah, there's some, like, there is some self-fulfillment of, like, man, I love creating stuff, and I love achieving goals, and the competitor in me likes to win. But that's so secondary to, okay, the real reason is people. And I'm
mm,
a person for one. I have one go at being a person, my and that's one life. And all these people that come into contact with this life, you best believe it's going to produce more life than theirs. And so that's my drive.
wow, that's so dope. And wow, man, thank you, bro, thank you for sharing that. And so with that, man, obviously we're not perfect, we're flawed. Has there ever been a moment in time where you felt like you've missed an opportunity of
Oh
doing
yes.
like of
Ooh,
like of
yeah.
like doing that, like, bro, like I want to make sure that when this person like meets me, I want to do good, and if you feel like I
Oh
messed up,
God, bro. All the
like how do you
yes.
respond, like how do you respond, or how do you bounce back
Woo.
from like feeling like, oh damn, I missed.
Man, I think, at the beginning of my album, shameless plug number two, we should just have one of those like ding ding, those things they do like they did on Drink Champs. But the thing, at the beginning of my latest project, Timeless Present, I explain why I changed my artist name from Ryan Thomas to Ryan the Sun, and what I say is, um, uh, I'm not trying to be Black Jesus. I am the reason for the word son is that's what I came into this world as. And every single person has to be birthed, and it's assigned to me every time I say or look at my name or type it into distribution, or search it on Spotify or look at my profile. It's a reminder to me that I am no different than any human being on the planet Earth.
Mm,
And so the way I bounce back from whenever I like miss those opportunities is I remember that I am no different. That is a reminder to me that I'm a human being. I am not God. I am not perfect. I am not, you know, I'm not everything that everyone needs all the time.
mm,
Um and that's okay. The perfectionist in me will hates it sometimes, but you know, that's just the way it is. And yeah, I think that's what helps me bounce back is just remembering that I'm human, that the person I let down, they probably let somebody down at some point in their life. So, you know, and yeah, just kind of growing from that place.
yeah, that's good, that's good. Because I mean, man, I'm reading this book, I'm currently finishing up this book called Real Love by Sharon Salzberg. She is a Buddhist monk.
Hmm.
Well, where she practiced like, meditation and compassion and loving
Yep.
kindness and all that stuff. And I mean, and of course, it's not a Buddhist principle, it's just a life, but it's a universal principle. And it's just
Hmm.
one of those things where, like oftentimes we will let people down because that's who we are. And of course, there's the perfectionist in us, or the critic, the inner critic, that's like, oh, you're the worst or whatever. But it's just like,
Yeah.
nah, man, like if we continue to give more compassion to ourselves, that then allows us to be more compassionate to other people, and understand that even though I might have missed out, I might have fallen short, or I might have, like,
Yeah.
we sin because we all sin. Sin is just falling short. If we look at it from a, not even a biblical sense, but a like a definitional sense of what the word is, to fall short or to fall down. It's just like
Mm.
in the midst of falling short and falling down, we can, and we are able, and we are more than capable of rectifying it, being able to forgive ourselves, and us forgiving ourselves gives us an opportunity to forgive other people, and then that allows us to love people more and more
Hmm.
earnestly, honestly, and authentically. And so I want to say thank you for sharing that, bro, and understanding that, man, like this is so dope. That, bro, you're that's a dope, transparent, honest person. I mean, of course, we have to see it like
Thanks.
off camera, off live, but at the end of the day, I know that this episode is gonna free a lot of people. No cap. Like
I
it's a big
hope
thing to do. It's
so.
only 6 days in, and we already just talking this deep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you, bro, for sharing that, and for just even being able to express that, and having the maturity in order to to talk about this, because I really
Hmm.
think it is vital, and it is important for people to understand that, yo, man, like, you know we're human.
Yeah, it's huge, super huge. Like, even if I think sometimes this is might be a tangent, but it is on topic. So I think it's so the reason why I think it's really huge to always remember that we're human beings is a lot of the times there's so much content being pushed out there, especially by Christians. And sorry if it sounds like I'm calling out Christians. No one is absent. No one is free from being called out. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is a lot of the times people push this content that says, you know, well, God is this, so we should be this, and like yes, but remember it's a we should, and we historically have never achieved the we should. And so
Yeah.
what does that tell you? It tells you that it's somewhere along the line that 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 we were relieved of that should becoming our reason for being accepted. And so what's next? What's next is whatever good you know you ought to do, whatever you become aware of as a human being that's the good you should do, like do your best to do it. Like if it's paying a tip right now in this economy, if it's making sure you at least pay $1 to $1 to $5 on a tip if you go eat out, like even if it's on a machine, like just because it's rough out here. If it's you know uh if somebody needs help with their child or needs help with food or whatever, and they don't believe in the same God as you or believe in the same political whatever as you, but they need help and you know that you have the ability to help them, do it. And don't chalk it up to, oh well, God will take care of it, and God this and that. And I think that's the state of humanity right now is a result of not remembering, like, yo, we are human beings here to help human beings.
Mm,
God is our inspiration. He gives us a manual book, obviously, and the universe gives you different things to learn. Jesus, whoever it is for you, gives you different tools to be the best human being for the one life you're here for to other human beings. And I think that's, to separate, divinity from humanness in this day and age. I think it cripples the human. I think it cripples the human experience and the human growth in a way that I don't know. That was kind of nebulous, but basically, I just felt like I needed to touch on how important it is to remember that we're human, and um, and not excuse ourselves from doing certain activities that we should do, and
mm,
chalking it up to, you know well, God this, my pastor this, or whatever this. It's like, well, dude, what is your soul, what is your heart saying is the good you should do? Do it. You know what I mean?
mm.
Anyway,
That's
that
that.
was nebulous, but
Nah, bro, that's incredible. That's incredible. And so now to transition is obviously we're in the new year, 2022. We came into this new year a couple days ago, like less than a week ago. And so my question for you is, bro, is like, how was your 2021, and what were the top three lessons that you've learned from this past year?
yeah. 2021, I think I had this moment processing 2021 when I was like, man, I feel like 2021 was a whole year of processing 2020, like bouncing back from 2020. And now I looked up and it's 2022 and it's like, oh my gosh, that's weird. I thought I was just getting started, you know? And so 2021, it was a blur, but a lot happened for me. And
Yes.
um, I released an album, and successfully, to where, the goal for me was to release an album that as many people from as many walks of life could relate to, and that people outside of my city, state, and country would love it. And that happened. I was featured on like the front page of an international magazine underneath Zendaya and next to Travis Scott, which was pretty cool. R.I.P. Travis Scott's career, but
He'll be
I'm
fine.
he'll be fine. I'm just being funny. But yeah, I did that. I got to, I've done a lot of writing. I'm working with one of my good friends, Zach, to create a story that we want to turn into a series and hopefully a video game and all that stuff. And all this stuff is just kind of spins off from successfully writing and producing the album. But yeah, so I put out an album, caught wind of some good collaborations that are moving forward, and I moved. I got a house. I furnished the house, which homeowners will know that's like wow. Um, but yeah, and so I looking back, it was tough, it was a blur, but it was also a really big blessing. And I think I'm starting to look back at 2020 and 21 as actually a really big lesson and blessing in a way that was teaching. It brought me back honestly to the big kid. I left big kid for a second, and I was just
Mm,
like, I was just I was just a dog for a second. Like I was just like grinding, you know, the Black Lives Matter stuff was popping off, and I was like, I was working through church trauma and all that jazz, and so I anytime I got an answer, I made sure everyone knew the answer, and I was putting out, working, and I think 2021 made me kind of, all right, you did it, you sold almost too much, and now it's 2022 for me is to reap. I think I'm going to be investing more, spending less. When I say invest, I mean time and money and my creativity. I'm going to be reaping more and sowing less, like looking back and on what I've sown and how it and actually reap, because I realize I so often, especially in this information age, I so often move on to the next thing, and I never do the first thing really, really well and enjoy it. And so I'm going to do a lot more reap, like enjoying what I'm reaping from what I sowed. And I want to write more. I want to
mm,
collaborate with people more. Like I really do. Like uh, as you know, I did the collaboration with No Big Deal, and that was like part one for me. I'm like, man, I want anybody I can serve and collaborate with. I want to do that. I think I've done a lot of like sowing for myself, and I'm reaping what I sowed there, and now I'm like, man, you take what I reap, and from that place, I want to collaborate and serve. I think if I were to put two big words on 2022 for me, that I hope it is collaboration and service. So
mm,
um, I did a lot of personal healing, internal healing in 20, internal grief, honestly, in 2020, turning that into something in 2021, like, processing all that in 2021. 2022, I'm like, all right, I evolved. I'm like the third evolution of a Pokemon. And I'm just like, I want to collaborate and serve from
yeah.
that place. So,
Yeah, bro. So, I think one of the things that people don't talk about when it comes to reaching some sort of success is the anti-climax of obtaining it. Right? Like, so
mhm.
obviously, you had, like I remember when we were having dinner with our colleague Alina when she was leaving, and music, like your music was playing in the background. Somebody died, and you were just like, okay, Jill. Oh, I didn't even know. Or
I
like,
really did.
yeah, you're right, you're right. Or like being on the magazine covers or whatever. Like, so how did it feel? What was it feel? What was the feeling like after? Like, because nobody talks about it. So, like, how did you feel
Mhm.
after? You're like, okay. Because I know for me, and
Yeah.
I listened to a bunch, like reading Will, all that stuff, right? They all
Hey,
talk.
I got mine too.
Yeah, they all talk about like how empty It can be like, bro. And so now with that, it's like, how were you able to navigate? What were some of the feelings that you felt, and how were you able to then, navigate and make sure, like, navigate that feeling, that space of like, did you feel like there was like a what's next or what now?
Yeah, almost every time I release something, I feel like that. But this year, I felt it a lot more with a lot more magnitude. Um, yeah, so I listen to a lot of those people too, and I study and I'm inspired by a lot of creative leaders, and so I knew I like you're gonna go grind, achieve something, or maybe not achieve it, and feel the same way whether you achieve it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that, I just but to it's like I played a trick on myself. I was like, yo, I need to feel that. I want to go through that so I know, again, it's the big kid where I'm like, okay, I know they said that, but I haven't experienced. Why are they saying that?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, I know for a fact I really do want. I worked really hard to package a message into this album, and it's really well done. And I want people to hear it because it costs money to make it. So I want people to hear it, and um, and and no one's caught this yet. I think you're the first one that's. This is the first time I've probably said anything about this because the question you just asked is literally the whole point of my whole album. If you go listen through the whole thing to the end, there's a song called "Maybe I," where I say, "Maybe I don't need to be famous. Maybe I don't need your job to find out. Maybe the way isn't paved the same for each and every one of us. Waiting on God to tell me what I already know is true, that maybe the walls are different colors inside of your mother's side of my mother's womb than you. Maybe I need a reason to hold on." And and so I for me, after achieving all the stuff that I set out, not all of it, but most of what I set out to achieve, and some of it was more, I I was so glad that I was experiencing the anticlimax that they were talking about, because
Mm.
now I'm one of those people that experienced it, and I, from my own personal experience, can draw footing for how I live the rest of my life. And what I've grasped from that is, um, I don't care about being famous. I never did, but now I really don't. And because I see how focusing on being famous actually, I'm giving game right now. Focusing on being famous actually is more stifling and crippling to your success than
Mm-hmm.
it is than it is beneficial. It your growth as a human, your growth as a person, your growth as a creator, your growth as a business, anything. Focusing on being liked and famous, I think, especially going into this new way of living life that's about to come up that no one knows about right now, like, it's going to eat you alive trying to be famous. Because think
Yeah.
about this. When I realized how much I looked at how much I spent to to put out the album and get the accolades or achievements that I did, which again are obviously they're not comparable to like the greats or whatever, but like I look back on that, all the time spent. If my goal was to be famous, yeah, I got worldwide like recognition, but like who can't do that if
Yeah.
they press enough, like they pay enough dollars on a Facebook ad. But I'm just saying, like, relatively, like literally anybody can be famous.
Yeah.
And the people who benefit the most from the people trying to be famous are the platforms that make you feel like you are when
American.
you're really not.
Mm.
And
Mm. Mm.
even if you are, look at your bank account. Yesterday I looked on, again, giving game. I looked on DistroKid to see like my earnings from the music that I released all of 2020 and 2021. And basically for 10 wait, no, for 2021, for it was like one song. For 10,000 streams, I made like every 5,000 streams, I made $10. That's insane. That and it's hard to do that in this hyper information age. And so for me, I was like, okay, there's a lyric from John Bellion that says, I'm not I'm not focused on getting bigger, just getting better. That's why I keep getting bigger after every record. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it's the message there is like, when you focus on getting bigger, you end up spending a lot more of your money and giving it to Spotify. You give it to Apple Music. When you put it, you give it to Apple Music. You give it to Apple Music for it to be on Apple Music, for other people to buy the music, and majority of it goes to Apple
With
Music,
music,
not you.
not you. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was my bounce back from the anticlimax. Sorry, going back to your,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was kind of a, but going to your question, is my bounce back from the anticlimax was this feeling has been sold to us forever.
yeah.
The feeling of being famous, like famous people, bro. I mean, I've met a lot of people that people I've trying to be.
No, no. Speaking, talking. You met these people and you realize they're miserable.
They're not happy.
They're not
Like they're
happy.
not really, because like when you look up and you don't you get sold the feeling of being famous when you're in a, man, bro. The divine God is speaking, bro. I'm just calling it right now. This is just crazy. So when you're a kid, we all have these dreams, right? Like when I'm a kid, I want, you look at what your dad's done or what other people's dads or moms or whatever have done. You're like, yo, I want to be an engineer. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an engineer because my dad was an engineer, and then I wanted to be a basketball player. And my reason why was so that I could have enough success and money to provide for my family or give back to my mom and dad, or it wasn't just to be famous.
No.
But over time you get sold the feeling of what it's like to be famous and how it actually makes you happy or even more successful, how that's a part of success. It can be, or but it's not the main thing of success. And then you forget that the whole reason you got into this was so that you could provide, so that you could be set, so that you could now do what you want with your money, or that you could be happy and satisfied in life. And just keeping it 100, your bank account is a part of that. It's not the bottom line of your happiness, but it's a part of your security, whether you want to act like it is or not.
Right.
And 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 if your creative passion, your life passion, if you navigate it not just to be famous, but to be successful in the manner of which, okay, now you get accurately paid for being passionate and brilliant at your gift, that's the goal. And so my response to the anticlimax, if I got all these, whatever, but I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm just here, and I walk down the street to like go get food at Waco. No one like that, no one really knows who I am. You know what I mean? Is my bounce back is I I'm glad I focused on loving my life and building my life. I have a
Mm,
healthy marriage. I
mm,
live in a home by the grace of God. I'm able to
mm.
pay my mortgage by the grace of God. And I got, I have transportation. I can go travel. I I get to work on projects I want to work on. I'm not on a label. I can go. There's people who want to work on stuff that I've been dreaming about doing, and I don't care how many people like hear it or see it. I just want to do it, and that's why I was kind of plugging the whole book thing. Like I'm gonna start going into more design and authoring, and I'm because that's what I am. I discovered I'm a writer, and I love writing. I don't care how famous I am. I just want to write and create good stuff. So anyway, that was a long-winded answer to
Nah,
your question,
dude,
bro.
dude,
But
that
I think I needed to touch on that, man. I just needed to
wow,
touch on that. It's
wow.
that
Wow,
that
bro.
that's
Woo,
yeah.
that right there, that's gonna free somebody. This is gonna God's talking right now. That's gonna free somebody for real, man. And thank you so much for sharing that perspective and sharing that, um that reality check, man. And that is so good. And so um now this is like towards the end of the show. These are like kind of like the big
Mhm.
questions that I
Yeah,
ask.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know, but every question I ask is big. But like, it's like
Mhm.
really like the big focus one. I've had the pleasure and honor and absolute opportunity to connect with Athy Trepka, who is the creator and founder of Are You Happy on TikTok. Man, shout
Yeah.
out Athy. And he always asks each and every guest, like, are you happy? And so my question for you is, like, starting this new year, whatever, like, Ryan, are you happy?
I am I am the most happy I've ever been in my life.
Wow.
And majority of that credit has to go to I have an amazing wife. Like
The Shadow
amazing.
Madison. Yeah, shout
Bro,
out
shout
Madison.
out Madison, bro. She really is the ghostwriter of every project. Um
Wow.
just because of how she loves people and loves me, and her presence has produced has produced a lot of happiness. I really have always been happy. I think, sorry, content. Um, I haven't been as joyful in that contentment in the past 2 years just because of mental health and friends being finicky and just, really just honestly small minded people and letting that get to me. But I think I'm like, I feel more of that joy coming on to my contentment, because I, it's like I got to a mountaintop and I'm like, whew, man, it was hard to get up here. Okay, I'm ready to walk down. And as you walk down, it's like, man, this is way easier. I actually am starting to notice the vegetation on the mountain and the animals because I'm not just trying to get to the top. I'm just like enjoying. That's how I feel. I just feel like I'm walking down the mountain, enjoying the scene because I just conquered the mountain. And I didn't do it just like out of selfish ambition. I did it just because it was where my gifts led me. So yeah, happy.
Yeah. That is beautiful. My next question is, but actually, the last question is, well, no, my second question, last question is, what are three things that you would tell your 18-year-old self?
Wow. I actually just answered this the other day.
Oh, turn up. So
Wow,
that's
man.
easy.
So this will be easy. I would tell him, don't be so hard on yourself. Um, obviously. And then I would say, you know, I would say there's so much at every end there's a new beginning is what I would
Mm,
tell him.
mm,
Like, man, like don't be afraid of things in life to end because there's so much life to have. There's so many things to do. Like, bro, you're good. Just keep keep living. Don't be so hard on yourself. You you're gonna thrive. You're not just gonna survive. And if I could tell you that from this side, which again, here there on my album is me doing that, and I'm just saying, you keep accidentally making me plug my album.
No,
But
bro. No, plug your album,
I
bro. Like,
literally I say what I would have said to myself before finishing writing the album was, you know, if had you known you could be here when you were there, would you have lived your life a little differently? And
mm,
and whatever that difference would have been, live it. Just do that, bro. Live your life present with every moment. Don't let tomorrow like crap on your day. You know what I mean? Don't let yesterday crap on your day. And it's all gonna be all right, whether you
mm,
feel okay or not. You know what I mean? So
that's incredible. My last
yeah,
question is, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want people to look back on my legacy and see that I don't want to be. I want people to see that if Ryan could do it, I could do it.
Mm,
I don't want to be a goat. I really don't. I don't think that's for the benefit of humanity. I want to be I want to be a sheep. I want to be like everyone else. I want everyone to I want to break the myth. I want my legacy to be like, "Oh man, everybody can do this." And it's awesome. Like I could do what I want to do. It may be painful sometimes, it may be awesome sometimes, but like I don't gotta listen to that just because he said it, just because he has what other accolades that some other person gave them. Like, so I want my legacy to be, I love people well, I love my family well, um, and in that if Ryan could get through it or Ryan could do it, like I can do it. Like that guy was, I mean, he's just a normal guy, but you know what I mean. I don't want it to be like he was the greatest of all time. No, if I'm the greatest of all time, I didn't live my time right.
mm,
If after me the greatest happened and there's nothing greater, I failed. So
mm.
yeah.
That's incredible, man. Man, bro, this is the last segment of the show, and this segment is the Speak Life segment where I get a chance to speak life into the guests. My favorite segment. Ryan, bro, you're a cool dude, bro. You're such a cool dude. I remember, like, I mean, and you're living your legacy well because I'm part of your legacy, bro. Like, I remember the very first time, and I told you this, like, when I saw you with Common Grounds, and I was there with shout out Bobby Hansen, listening to you promote your album and performing at Common Grounds. I'm like, yo, bro, I was jumping, the crowd jumping. I'm like, bro, man, and bro, your music, and even this past summer, in 2021, I cried during Cappuccino, like, like just and you and your wife and how you live your life and how you move, man, it inspires me. It truly, and it's so amazing to see the way that you and Maddie have both overcome your challenges individually and together as a couple. Your willingness to create, your willingness to be a big kid and to ask why and to always question, your desire to serve, your servant heart minded, and your leadership and your just consideration of you being able to share yourself and be vulnerably honest and allow yourself to achieve and create and dream, bro. It is an inspiration to many and also an inspiration to myself. And I'm super grateful that you took your time, the most valuable asset, because we cannot get this back, to spend it
Mhm.
with me, to be on this podcast, to speak your truth and to be honest and authentic, bro. I'm grateful for all that you've done. I'm proud of what you've done. I'm proud of who you are, who you're becoming. And it's just an honor just for you to be considered somebody to be in your life, man. And I love you, man. I'm so proud of you and I'm grateful. So thank you for this chance and this opportunity to chop it up in the virtual barbershop, bro, and to for you to share always. I'm grateful for
Yeah,
that.
man. Absolutely. Thank you, bro, for anyone who knows Tanaka. He's more. He's way more than what he is on this podcast, which is awesome on this podcast, by the way. You killed it. This is a great interview. But it's easy to keep you in my life because you're just such a great source of life. And so yeah, man, thank you for having me. I hope I wasn't too long winded on my questions, but
Nah, G. Man, we just chopping it up, bro. We just chopping it up. We made it happen. One last time, plug yourself shamelessly. Let people know what is coming next. Where can people follow you again? For those who,
Mhm.
because people will listen at different times. Go plug yourself,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Again, Ryan the Sun. You can find most of my stuff at ryanthesun.com. And the best place to follow me is on Instagram until the metaverse. But the best place to follow me is at Ryan the Sun, Sun as in child. And yeah, that's where you'll find everything. If you want to go listen to my latest album, Timeless Present, it is everywhere. You can search Ryan the Sun and then Timeless, and it'll show up. Or you can just search Timeless Present because nothing else is named that because I'm weird and I named it a weird name. So, yeah, that's me. And follow me if you want to.
Yeah, follow him. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Comment, like, subscribe, share it, if you must. And until next time, we are out.